Special Counsel Jack Smith is requesting that former President Donald Trump's federal trial begin on December 11th. His attorneys are expected to consent to that. Now, a campaign stop in Oakland County, Michigan on Sunday, Trump slammed the indictment, saying the only reason the Justice Department is going after him is because he's doing so well in the polls.
Every time the radical left, Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor and a badge of courage.
I want to bring in my panel, Republican strategist and radio host Melik Abdul and Scott Bolden, legal analyst and former chair of the D.C. Democratic Party. Gentlemen, good morning. Melik, I want to start with you. The Justice Department wants a December 11th federal trial for former President Donald Trump. How likely is that to actually happen?
Well, from what I understand, I'm not the attorney on the panel. My good friend Scott definitely is. But from what I understand, there will be a number of motions, pretrial motions that would have to take place between now and then. If you listen to some of the constitutional experts or legal experts like a Jonathan Turley or otherwise, what they're saying is that there will be a number of back and forth. There will be issues over the classification, over some of the documents, whether or not, for instance, the map that Donald Trump had allegedly shown, whether or not that's something that could actually be introduced in evidence, considering that the government itself says that that's classified information. So I'm not exactly sure if we'll meet that December date, but keep in mind, if that trial actually does start in December, it will be either the late part of January or the earlier part of February when we'll be having our first vote, which would be in the Iowa caucus. So we'll see. But from what I understand, it doesn't seem likely that that December date will stick.
Making it tough, you agree to get this wrapped up before the 2024 election?
Oh, well, absolutely. And I haven't heard anyone who believes that it will actually be wrapped up before then. Whether or not it will, I'm not sure. But this definitely, all of these indictments, all of these legal issues that Donald Trump has complicates it for him in the general election, although it doesn't seem as if at this point that there will be any issue with Donald Trump winning the GOP primary because he's running away in polling and otherwise. So we'll see what happens. But this definitely doesn't present great news for Donald Trump, but I'm pretty sure that this is going to be pushed back, at least from what I understand, even past the election.
And Melik, before I jump over to Scott, one more question. We're hearing some pushback over this GOP loyalty pledge, and it says that all candidates will need to support eventual candidate down the road. Will Hurd is the most recent refusing to sign it. Chris Christie calling it a useless idea. What do you think about that whole loyalty pledge?
I believe you said Will whom? Was that Hurd? Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, Will Hurd is another one who's actually in the race. I don't think that this is going to matter at all. Now, I do understand why the RNC is trying to actually get them to sign this pledge. Keep in mind, if Donald Trump were in a different position, probably being behind in the polls, people would want Donald Trump to sign the pledge that he would that he would vote for the eventual nominee. Whether or not they do it, there's nothing that the RNC itself can do, even if they decide to sign the pledge. It's nothing that they could do because at the end of the day, the voters choose who the nominee is. But sure, go ahead and sign the pledge, but it seems as if with Christie and maybe even DeSantis, they're waffling on the idea that they're not going to vote for the eventual nominee. And I do think that that is a problem, articulating that you will not vote for the nominee of your own party. That is a problem.
Yeah, Scott, do you see that being the only problem that the GOP has, or what are you thinking with this loyalty pledge? Because it seems that Mr. Hurd and Mr. Christie are really the only two candidates that we've seen take direct attacks at the former president.
Well, the two people taking the direct attacks, I'm a former state party chair for the Democrats. There's not a whole lot of there's not a whole lot of enforcement GOP can do, especially if Hurd or Christie are the Republican nominees. But here's a news flash. Neither one are going to be the GOP nominee. It may not be Donald Trump either, but it won't be those two just based on polling and money and what have you. So I don't think that's going to be a big issue. The bigger issue is who the nominee is going to be and whether it's going to be Donald Trump. These trials are real. The criminal justice system doesn't really care about the political calendar. And while he may be politically popular, he's under indictment at a state level and at a federal level. And judges, federal and state, really don't care about campaign schedules and primaries.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.